Hi, thanks for watching our Sistrict Boston's live interview Thursdays. Today we're interviewing a Boston educator and cartoonist who has collaborated with Google, Hasbro, and PBS, but he is most well known for his comic book series, COMIXSCAPE. Please welcome LJ Baptiste. All right, here we go. Hi, LJ. Thanks so much for coming.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for having me, Jill. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you start by maybe showing us what you're working on, maybe some of your artwork?
yeah, absolutely. So, as you just mentioned too, I'm a cartoonist, I'm a storyteller, comic artist. I do animations as well, here and there. One thing I'm working on now is the next volume for my comic book series, COMICSCAPE. And you guys could actually see the first volume over here, but currently working on volume 4 and penciling a whole bunch of pages. So, yeah, you could have like an early sneak peek at some of that.
Oh,
You can
cool.
see, yeah, you can see some new characters for folks that have read these books before, and you could see a couple of the main characters too. There's Rocky, this raccoon character over here. There's Tanya, who's Tyler, the main character's older sister. And of course, like I said, this is Tyler. He's the main character. And yeah, this series has been something that I've been doing since 2012. So it's been a long, long time coming. But it's been a blast to just do and to just create and have these characters grow with me and just go on like different adventures and journeys and stuff.
So, LJ, what is the book about?
So the book series itself, it's centered towards the life of this young boy, Tyler, this perpetually preteen boy, and his best friend, which is a raccoon with a ravenous appetite that he goes on all of these adventures with in his new neighborhood that he moved to with his older sister and his father. And the comic touches on themes of growing up, of just sort of finding your place, like as a young person, and of utilizing creativity and your own perspective to kind of just carve your own path.
Cool.
So,
And how did you
yeah.
get the ideas for these books?
The main thing that gave me the idea for it has really just been my own experience. It's been interesting because a lot of these characters have come from my own childhood. Like I've created a bunch of them and have had them around in some form or fashion since I was a little kid. Um, because when I was first drawing comic books, originally I was in first grade, and it was
Wow.
actually, yeah, it was actually Captain Underpants books that like really got me into creating my own comics, and I loved reading those so much, and I would draw my own, staple them together, and like give them out to friends, sell them to them, and stuff like that too. And I was always that kid that loved drawing cartoons and making jokes and stuff like that. And sometimes I got in trouble for it, but I I knew a lot of times I got in trouble for it, but I knew there was something in me that felt that I had to keep doing this because even though I kept getting in trouble for drawing all over my classwork and for making all these jokes when my teachers didn't want me to, I still just couldn't stop myself from doing it. So
And when did you
that's
find out that that's what you really wanted to do? Because I know probably in first grade you weren't thinking, I'm gonna do this when I grow up. Or maybe you
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Um, I actually have something that I wrote back when I was in second or third grade, I believe maybe second grade, um, where we had to write about like what we're going to do when we're older. And the thing that I wrote for that was literally being a comic book artist. And the second,
Wow.
yeah, they wanted us to write two things because I guess they wanted to teach us early on the concept of like a fallback plan
Settling.
and stuff like that. And the second thing I wrote was being a painter. So both of
Cool.
the things they weren't really like that far apart. It was I knew even from that age that artwork was always going to just be my thing somehow. So yeah, like I think I just really took to how cartoons and comics, animation, and stuff like that in general work really well for just expressing yourself and being able to being able to use it to just form an understanding of people's perspectives was something that became
Hmm.
more powerful to me over time.
And is that something you want people to get out of your books when they read them? Is there like a message you want to send or?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the main things that I want to just emphasize with these books and to just have people take away is just the value of being able to just listen to other people and form your own understandings of their perspectives and who they are. And I also like to just use my books and my work as a way to just express my own story and the stories that I see other people going through. So one thing that in ComicScape specifically, that I use with the characters there a lot, you could even see a bit of it in this Volume 4 scene. I have a couple of my characters on this bike ride with their grandpa, and they're having this whole conversation with all this conflict in it.
Hmm.
Um, But one thing that I use these characters to express is just the whole concept of the generation gap and just how the things that our parents or like in this case our grandparent or just our parental figures when we're kids, the things that these people want for us don't necessarily align with the things that we want for ourselves.
Hmm.
And I like to use this series to kind of just go back and forth on expressing both sides of that and having those voices be out there.
Yeah, and we talked on the phone about how deeply you develop your characters and some of the specific conflicts they had, and they seem really awesome and educational. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely. So I remember one thing that I've I've done in this comic specifically with the second volume of the comic was getting to use one of my main characters. Her name is Nia, and she's someone that was celebrating her birthday party in the second volume, and it was something that she entered into with so much excitement and so much positivity. But long story short, the whole thing ended up being a disaster, and she had to kind of she had to kind of try to keep herself from losing her mind, but she ended up just basically just blowing up at the party. And there's a whole scene with her and this other character who used to babysit her, where you get to understand that her anger really came from a place of just feeling lost and upset, like over the loss of her mother when she was younger. And just her feeling that her father doesn't understand her as much. So getting to express like these type of stories and emotions that people relate to and can understand is something that I take really seriously, and um, I get to use that in my own way. I feel to just further my own understanding of my own upbringing too. So that's part of what is some of the best things of just storytelling in general and using these characters to develop my own understanding of things.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. And I'm sure people can kind of empathize with that as well. So if I wanted to buy your books or read them online, where could I go to do that?
Oh yeah, you could do that on comicscape.net. So that's COMIXSCAPE. So just
Oh yeah, I definitely want to see that cover. Can you back it up a little?
absolutely. Yeah. So the
Beautiful.
yeah, all of the comics can be read on the website, and there's also a link on the website where at the top where you could purchase any of the three books, or you could purchase a bundle of them together. Um, yeah,
So do
and
you do these completely on your own?
yeah, yeah. So
That's
that was a whole
amazing.
journey in and of itself, and people that have been reading this comic from earlier on would know that there's actually like an older OG version of Volume 1 that's out there with a completely different cover and design and logo and everything. And that was something that I ended up scrapping when I got to just learn about programs like InDesign and just figuring out how to make things look nicer and more organized. So
That's so
yeah,
inspiring.
yeah,
Cool.
it's been a whole journey. So I'm looking forward to getting to start putting up pages from what'll make up Volume 4 in the next few weeks.
Oh, when is that going to be released?
So the book is going to be released later this year, I would say fall, but the pages themselves are going to start being posted on the website for everyone to be able to read and pick up from where the end of Volume 3 leaves off in late June, early July is going to be the timeline for that. So there's going to be details on that
Wow.
soon. These are Volume 2 and 3.
Those are so cool. So I know ComicScape has an animated comic, I think, and
Yeah,
a character song. um,
yeah. So the motion comic was something that I put together like fairly early on in the process of originally releasing the comic because I thought it'd be a fun way to just create like a recontextualization of the series and allow people to experience it in a different way. And because I've always loved animation, I've always loved cartoons and all of that stuff. I I was always also really into voice actors, and I always thought it'd be cool to just get to collaborate with different voice actors for the characters, work with a composer to give original music for it and everything. So I found this great team of people to be part of it, and the the guy that did the music for the motion comic, Christopher Escalante, he was really great. He was mentored by Bruce Broughton, who was the guy that did the um, music for the cartoon show Tiny Toon Adventures. So I was nervous
wow.
approaching him at first because I was thinking there's no way he's gonna end up going for it, but he did, and it was really cool. I just saw Bob's comment, pitch it to Netflix. Yeah,
Absolutely.
shout out to Bob Flynn. He's
Netflix
really
is
good.
getting really desperate, but this is a good one.
Yeah. So that was huge. Also the voice actor for Tyler in that motion comic, uh, she's my age. She's a really, really great voice actor, and she's only gotten way bigger after the time that we worked on that together.
Oh.
Like if anyone watching, or if you, Jill, know about One Piece, for instance, the
Oh, of
anime
course.
series One Piece. Yeah, yeah, she's doing a voice in the show right now. She just got cast on that show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like playing the kid version of one of the main major characters for this like really big story arc, and I just think stuff like that is really cool. But yeah, like that's part of the fun of getting to just connect with and collaborate with different people that you believe in and are excited by.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Where can we watch the animated comic and the character song mixtape?
So yeah, the animated the motion comic can be viewed on YouTube. So if you just go on YouTube and you type COMIXSCAPE, then you'll see the three episodes, episodes one, two, and three. And yeah, I feel like it'd be fun to get to do more of them sometime. But they took a lot of work, a lot of work, a
I
lot of
bet.
time. Yeah, like the first episode alone went through like 10 different versions before we landed on the one that was just right to release. And the mixtape, I actually haven't officially announced the mixtape,
Oh,
but yeah,
sorry.
no, it's completely fine, it's completely fine. Yeah, it's a character song mixtape, just like you said, called Comics Tape. There's gonna be more details on that soon, but it's complete, and that's going to be something that's going to come out this summer as well. I have a special plan for the way that's gonna come about.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start watching this. So are you particularly influenced by any artists?
Yes, yes. Like, one of the things with me when I was a kid and I was just starting out being really
Comics tape.
into, yeah, I'm seeing Sherlin's comment, release comics tape, I beg of you.
Comics tape,
But
that's good.
yeah, one of the things that I really took to when I was a kid was the Looney Tunes, and specifically just getting to look at the different animation directors for the different cartoons, and then being able to tell what the difference was between the different people that were directing the shorts. And from there, understanding the difference between the way Bob Clampett would write and direct Bugs Bunny versus the way Chuck Jones would, or Robert McKimson. And that got to just develop my own understanding of the way our own different perspectives and interpretations of things can affect the angles that we put on the stories we write and the way we write characters in those stories. Like I remember I was telling you about how Chuck Jones became like one of the biggest names of all as far as the Looney Tunes directors are concerned, and a lot of the portrayals that he first built the most of are the ones that we associate with the characters like to this day, like from Bugs's whole persona of just being like super clever and suave and cool and all of that, and like 10 steps ahead all the time, to Daffy being like super selfish and greedy and just very uncouth. So yeah, cartoons like that were huge for me. I also loved Ed, Edd n Eddy so much. That was a cartoon that I used to freeze frame to just see like how the characters did certain actions. One Piece I always really loved too. Even before I started officially reading it, I was like really into it because I loved the artwork and just the concept sounded really interesting to me.
Hmm.
And it was comics like Bone by Jeff Smith, which I have like right by my side because why wouldn't I?
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I
it was
see.
comics
I
like
see the
Bone from
influence.
yeah, yeah, comics like this comic actually is what got me to decide, okay, I'm definitely going to learn how to use a brush for my comics to ink them because I loved Jeff Smith's line work so much and like I aspire to just get to the point to where I could make work that is just as clean as that, or even better than that. So yeah, Brian Lee O'Malley too. I really love who did the Scott Pilgrim books. He also did this graphic novel called Seconds, like 4 years after he ended Scott Pilgrim, and that was also really great. Like there's this Bob is mentioning a couple more of my influences too. Calvin Hobbes is a huge one, a huge one. It was one of my classmates in second grade that she gave me a Calvin Hobbes book that she had. I never read Calvin Hobbes before because like by the time I was in second grade, it was like long finished and it wasn't in the papers anymore and stuff. But I got that book. I brought it home and I still have the book now, but it blew my mind. It was just so incredible. And then from there, I just kept buying the books, and it just really stuck with me. And Animaniacs, I always really loved a lot too,
Mm.
because of the the music, the animation, the voice acting, the jokes, the writing was just really incredible to me. And Tyler's hat comes from it was actually influenced by Wacko's hat on Animaniacs. It's
Hmm.
the exact same hat because Wacko on Animaniacs was always my favorite character and the one that I identified with the most. So, yeah, that was a little tribute to that show from the 90s that I loved a lot as a kid.
That's awesome. What are some of your goals for COMICSCAPE or even just yourself in your artwork?
So for ComicScape, I have a lot of goals with
Good.
ComicScape. Yeah, I have a lot of goals. Like I ultimately, one of the main things is I want it to reach as many people as possible, and for it to just demonstrate and show uh, from people that I know just from my own artistic journey to like peers and mentors to even like kids and teenagers that I've taught. Like I saw one of them in the audience earlier, Mikey. Um, I want it to just be able to show and demonstrate that this is here and this exists and these character stories exist and these characters matter and I'm here to push all of it to also just show everybody my love for this art form and to also like play a role and a part in inspiring people so that they can do their thing too and they can share their work in different ways so that other people can experience it. So yeah, I have a lot of different plans with ComicScape, and that's part of why I do these different projects with it too, like the emotion comic and the mixtape. And I'd love to, I'd love to take it to animation sometime too,
Hmm.
because I originally conceived it as an animated series, specifically for Cartoon Network back in like the early 2010s, even before that, because I first came up with Tyler 12 years ago now. But
Wow.
I ended up developing it as a comic instead because that was going to be the only way that teenage me at that time was going to be able to develop this into like a full thing myself. in a fairly consistent time frame. So yeah, I have a lot of goals like with that type of thing in mind too. And yeah, I have plenty of other goals for different stories and stuff outside of Comicscape too. I have stories that I've first started working on before I even started Comicscape and stuff that has popped up in the time of working on Comicscape too. And even stuff that's just very, very early where I just have some characters, but I just know that there's something there that I have to get to. So yeah, ultimately I just want to express I'm definitely here to stay, and my voice and what I do with these characters, it's just gonna get to grow more and more so that they can just have the space to just express themselves. And these are going to be different stories that exist in comics and animation and other mediums too, like music as well. So yeah, I have a lot of goals for all of that and everything in between.
So how many books are going to be in Comicscape? And do you have
So
any
I'm gonna,
plans for after?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So I know how many books there are for the series. I'm keeping it close to the chest for now though, but definitely a few more books like on the way. And afterwards, I do have different plans. Like there's a series I'm working on now that I'm not the writer of, but I'm just doing the illustrations of, and it's a full color kids book that I'm excited about. I can't talk about it yet. It's about
Your fans are great.
yeah, but it's something I'm excited about too. But that'll be coming out before I even finish Comicscape. But I have other stories of mine too that I'm writing and illustrating that I'm gonna be doing after Comicscape as well. And one of them I'm gonna approach both as an animated series and a comic series like at the same time. I'm gonna actually just actively push for both.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I know you said you worked with like Google, Hasbro, and PBS, and you have kind of a cool story for PBS. Do you want to share what it was like working with them?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I just got an email one day from a director that works at PBS, and he contacted me just requesting if I would be interested in doing a workshop for them that would be filmed and edited together as a segment for their cartoon Pinkalicious, which is based on a children's book. And yeah, like I replied like saying like yeah, I'd definitely be interested in talking about the opportunity and everything. And we got to sit down. I mentioned in my email how much I loved Arthur. So we when we met, Jeff Adams is the name of the guy that's the producer director at PBS at GBH. When we met, he actually wore an Arthur hoodie, and he did that just because he knew how much I loved Arthur. And we had a really great conversation about just like all these different shows, and I found out that he's the guy that directed all of the live action segments on Arthur from the very beginning. The whole thing where it says, "And now a word from us kids," like, and then it shows the kids, like, that thing that I was watching since I was a little kid watching PBS. And yeah, we had a really great conversation. talking to me about Curious George too, because that was another book that little me loved reading when I was
Yeah.
a kid. And yeah, I brought my books with me because he reached out to me because he was looking for Boston comic artists, and he liked the look of my work, and he was just being really kind, and we just talked about how it was going to work. We did a 3 hour, months and months later, we did a 3 hour workshop with a group of kids that they got to find and select for the workshop. So it was the longest workshop that I've ever done at that point, and it was really fun. It was really great. I got to bring my work over. He insisted actually that I bring my books over and we make that a big part of the segment, which I thought PBS would not allow. But to my
Wow.
surprise, it actually was there. Like it was allowed, and it was really, really cool. And then, yeah, afterwards, me and the whole crew just got to go out for lunch together, and it was really nice.
Wow, that's really
Yeah,
nice.
and then like a year later, the episode aired.
Yeah, and didn't it air as the season premiere?
Yeah, it aired as the season 2 premiere of the show. So yeah, it was a 9 month wait because that's how long it takes to make one episode of a cartoon.
Wow, that's cool. All right,
Hmm.
so I'm out of questions, but you've said so much. I know your fans are chiming in a lot. Do you feel comfortable opening the floor up to questions?
Oh yeah, definitely. If anybody
We have time
has
for a
any.
few, but I don't want to keep
Hmm.
you too long.
No problem.
Anything else you want to add, or?
Um, I'd say definitely stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of big news coming out soon for my work for COMIXSCAPE. If there are any parents that are watching as well, I also do um, I also do graphic novel, comic book classes, like going over just teaching how to create your own, some of the fundamentals and stuff like that. So I'm going to be posting about a new session of that very soon. And also, I have these escapist hats that I'm about to post in the next day are available for pre-order. And yeah, there are 4 different kinds, and the
Wow.
pre-order price is 30 if anyone's interested.
Are those
Yeah, I've been
pencils?
yeah, a pencil and
Oh.
a brush, the tools that I use to make my comics. So the X just stands for escapist. And
All right.
yeah, like I've been rocking these for a while, so I can definitely attest to their quality.
Nice. Very cool. So we do have a question. Is Tyler loosely based on you?
Yes, yes, Tyler is loosely based on me. What's funny is it took me a long time to realize that he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, and that's the thing that's interesting too with just creating your own story, no matter what medium, is the things that you're not even consciously thinking about still end up having certain implications and parallels to you in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there are things that I think that I already know, and then later I'll look back and then I realize that it's deeper than I could have expected. So,
Yeah.
yeah, all of the characters are based on me and they have some type of reflection on me. And if there's anyone that writes any type of story or comics or animation or whatever it is, then I definitely suggest just getting to keep in mind the importance of taking elements of yourself and fleshing them out into different characters because it helps keep your own empathy and understanding of the character intact. So, yeah, but I'm also not the same person I was when I first created Tyler, so I also recognize too that in some ways I actually relate to him less than I did before. But in other ways, I have a deeper connection with him because um, one of the things I'm doing now is I'm working more on just showing where he comes from and his backstory and the impact of certain things that have happened to him that he's experienced as a kid and stuff like that. And yeah, like that has made me consider a lot of just my own childhood, like moving around a lot and just experiencing different things.
Well, really cool. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
LJ. This has been so awesome and inspirational.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on so much. Thank you. So
Definitely.
I guess that's it.
Hmm.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too, Jill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hmm.